Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Talk with the Titans, live from London, UK, all the way to the US of A and worldwide. I'm your host, Kalam, and this is Talk with the Titans. On tonight's show, we've got the remarkable brother Zion Lexx in the building. Peace, shalom to you, King.
Peace and shalom to you, Kalam. Shalom to your listening audience. Giving all honor and praise to the God of our ancient forefathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It's me here in the flesh.
That's right, indeed. We've got my brother live in the flesh right now, and he's about to go in. I know he's got a presentation in store for us. This is the Kabbalah Unveiled. The Kabbalah Unveiled. So everybody out there, you know what? I'm suggesting you lot get your pens, get your pads, get your research materials ready, because I know I have. I've got all my research materials are right here ready for tonight's show. So please get yours ready as well. Now, we're about to go into this because you know what? I was actually watching Sunnet TV today, and I saw Professor James Smalls actually on the show. And I know this is one of the topics you've actually had in store, and it was quite amazing to see, the synchronicity of things actually going on right now. So, one of your topics is to talk about Professor James Small. So, just before we get into the presentation, can you give me some information about that?
Absolutely, man. Well, if you didn't know already, I will make it clear right now for you and the listening audience. Since the last sit down that I had with the dear Professor James Smalls, I've been blackballed from Sarnetta TV. I've given Sarnetta several phone calls. He's returned none. I've sent him a couple of text messages. He returned one, and the return message said, "Hey, brother, I'm not ignoring you. I'm doing a show. We'll get back to you." Of which, he's a very busy man. He never got back to me. But it soon became clear to me that because of my interaction with the professor, I was certainly blackballed from the show, which is deep because, I've come on the show and I've said and done great things. I surely have challenged the hell out of those who come with diverse information, but I thought that's what the show was supposed to be about. I thought that's what debates are supposed to be about, presenting challenging views and being able to stand on 10 toes. I didn't realize that I would send the entire community into an uproar and cause people to literally hate me for the information that I shared. So, that was kind of a letdown, but it's expected when you get into these intellectual arenas. It's expected that you may have people get into their feelings because people are emotionally invested in the information that they're sharing. And sometimes you may touch emotions with some of the truths that you may highlight and touch on. What bothered me most about, the interaction with Professor Smalls is that, the backlash that I received predominantly from the Kemetic conscious community is that I set up Professor James Smalls. He wasn't coming there to have a lengthy discussion about timelines and debates, because remember the question that I asked him, it related to a timeline. The question I asked him was for him to just co-sign something that he already said on Sarnetta TV, a timeline that he brought up himself. Mind you, pay attention very closely to this. Everybody go back and watch that video after Kalam's show tonight. Look on Professor Small's lap. What is sitting on his lap? He has a Kemetic scroll on his lap with a timeline that stretched back to 8,000 BCE, of which he said that is the first time that we can see people in Kemet or people emerging out of Kemet with this Nile Valley information. So he's sitting on the couch with a timeline that stretches back to 8,000 BC. The timeline that I came prepared to discuss is about 6,000 BC. I wasn't prepared to discuss 8,000 BC. If he had actually gone into that, that would have been pretty interesting, to say the least bit. But to me, it was a letdown because I respect the man who will stand on 10 toes and say, I'm not looking at you as my equal, right? I would respect that. But when that man comes with a timeline and a bunch of books, because if you look to the left and right of him, he had a stack of books as well. You don't have to take my word on it. I adjure you to watch the video. The man sat there with a stack of books, you know what I mean? So to tell the people that you wasn't come in here for a debate. You wasn't coming here for a lengthy conversation. You almost contradicted when the people look at you, or especially when the people consider that the night before, Sonetta blasted on Sonetta TV that this is going to be a great debate. Professor Smalls is not coming to play. Y'all seen the videos. I've shared them online so that you can look at it with an objective eye. At the end of the day, I'm the one that's sitting here smiling, because not only have I intellectually chin-checked everybody that they put before me, but even when their master teacher sat with me, they wanted to get the hell out of the room. So at the end of the day, I understand, and I'm very clear on the idea that Professor Smalls understood that he was in for a fight had he actually engaged me. And I think that what he wasn't prepared for was the level that I wanted to engage him on. But I will go on record saying that I have respect for Professor Smalls. Just today, I was actually listening to some of the information that he shared about Fidel Castro. I thought it was great information. The only down part to it was the very beginning of the video. He's talking about me, and one thing I'm aware of is if you allow a person enough talk time, they kind of hang themselves. Professor Smalls opened up his dialogue today on Sonetta TV by saying, "Hey, Sonetta, you haven't called me back on the couch for a while. I thought you ousted me because of what happened with Zion Lexx." What does he feel guilty for? Why would your man, your ace, Sonetta, oust you from the couch? Professor, what are you hinting at? You see, I'm a person that I pay very close attention to what people say, because there's always a psychology conveyed in the very words of the person that's sharing with you. Why do you feel guilt? Why do you feel necessary to say that you haven't invited me here in such a long time? I wonder if it's connected to what happened with me and Zion Lexx. What do you feel guilty about? I understand what you feel guilty about. You agreed to sit on that couch with a young man. That young man, in a very respectful manner, in a very respectful tone, asked you a series of questions. These questions were based on things you had already said while sitting on that exact same couch. But at that point, the professor realized that I definitely wasn't coming to play. And he realized that although he had a timeline that stretched back to 8000 BC, he wasn't ready for this young man on the couch, who he seen give it up when I had my dialogue with Shaka. So I'll close out by saying that, I have respect for Professor Smalls and for what he does. But one thing I always say to everybody, be it Hebrew, be it Kemetic, be it whatever, stay in your goddamn lane. As great as you are, your greatness is defined by the lane that you are in. When you step outside of your lane, you're always going to have problems. Professor Smalls is excellent at what he does, but the limitation thereof is when he opens his mouth on Torah. He is not an authority on Torah. I am. He does not know the language. He does not know the culture, and he is ignorant of the heritage. Therefore, when I come with this truth, I'm not coming to play at all, and it really doesn't matter who's sitting on the couch. If you watch the dialogue, I paid that man great respect to the point where his body language started to not even warrant it. But it's the Torah inside me that still allowed me to show that man respect while he was there. But again, I got love for Professor Smalls. At the end of the day, he's an elder who has put in a lot of work in the community. But one thing that we can't forget is he's still a man. And by virtue of that, he's still liable to have flawed characteristics about himself as well. And for him to say just this evening that it's a sad situation what happened with Zion Lexx, yes, I agree with you, Professor Smalls, except I think our vantage point is different, because you want to impress upon the people that it was sad for Zion Lexx to act out when I left. But Professor Smalls, what's really sad is that Zion only asked you to stand on 10 toes on the very things that you have said on that couch. And I've got phone calls from brother Ngozi, and we spoke lengthy about it. And he said, Zion, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I don't agree with everything you say, but I watched that sit down. And guess what? I didn't see the same thing that everybody's talking about. I saw that you were actually more humble than we ever seen you. I had another phone call, another person that I spoke with in the conscious community. And this person actually inspired tonight's lecture. And that's brother Blue Pill. Brother Blue Pill gave me a phone call about a month ago, just before he did his 44 lecture in Brooklyn at Nicholas Bookstore. And he said, man, I watched your show on Global Media, your Gematria Unveiled. And I got to tell you, man, you really rock the show. You a powerhouse with what you do. And he said, I want you to know that I see in between the BS that's going on with you in the conscious community. And he said, I want you to know this. People are always going to fear a personality like you because they don't know what to do with you. You have a very strong mind and you present yourself as a sharp, humble, yet very strong character. You are going to intimidate people. As a result, you leave people with two choices. They're either going to hate you or they're going to love you. Look at the like button on Titans TV right now. I think Blue Pill is a prophet. The like button is telling you exactly what he just said. Right now, there's 21 likes and 19 likes. What did Blue Pill say? They're either going to love you or they're going to hate you. And that's a fact.
Jeez, yes, my brother. Let me just have a quick look right now. My brother Zion Lexx is like, Muhammad, you're either gonna love him or hate him. And so far, the community is split right now, whether they love him or hate him. I'm seeing in the comment section there's enough love, and you know, I can see it as well. I don't think they like you attacking, or I shouldn't say attacking, going up against the elder. I think that's their main concern right now. They like the elders' position intact, and they don't want the elders' persona to actually be criticized. That's another subject up for debate. Should we actually critique our elders even though we feel that they're wrong? Should we or should we not? I wonder. You let me know down below in the comment section. Should we critique our elders? Should we allow them a chance to grow? Or should we be humble enough to not even think we can actually criticize our elders? I want to know. Let me know in the comment section down below what are your thoughts and feelings on that. You know what? For those of you who are new to Titans TV and new to Talk with the Titans is all about, should I say, was birthed out of the idea that the intellectual giants, the titans of our community, should have a well-organized platform to present, discuss, and debate critical information affecting our community proposed by you, our members of the community. So if you would like to see anybody, any great teachers or lecturers up on Titans TV, please drop me a message. Let me know who you would like to see up and what type of topics you would like to hear discussed. And of course, I will bring you that fire, I'll bring you that heat and get, those teachers up here for you. I'm just checking the comment section. The comment section are going in right about now. But you know what, Zion, I can't even let you pass through the studio without actually you touching upon my brother Polight. Because you know what, I've seen quite a few little memes and videos that you put up and other people have put up in relation to brother Polight. I think he was on was it Vlad or the Breakfast Club, one of the two, and he was talking about Sumeria being one of the ancient civilizations, apart from Kemet. So I know you've got a few things to talk on that, and also I want to know: can success compromise a man's integrity and morality? That's another question I'm going to throw out there as well. So you, please, go ahead, man. Answer those questions for me.
All right, so you got it, my brother. I'm loving this because in this kind of arena, I exceed very, very well. The more hate that they show me, the more fierce I'm gonna give it up when I get before any one of them. People gotta love and hate me. The people that really, really follow my information, they love me. The people that hate me, at the end of the day, I gotta call it like it is. They're butthurt because their favorite professor and teacher got smashed by me several times. As a result, you're never gonna have love from those kind of a people. Down everything that a person has loved, they're gonna hate you for it. And there's nobody that they put me in front of that I didn't tear the hell down. But when it comes to Brother Polight, man, I gotta laugh. I am the first Hebrew to come into the community and open up discourse publicly about Summa. That's a fact. And I spoke about Summa being much older than Kemet. I spoke about all of the mystery schools being based in Sumer initially. What do we see Brother Polight do on Vlad TV? This is very interesting. You know, when I saw it myself, it wasn't surprising. It was validation that I could share with the world. I had already told people that myself and Polight have chosen to speak at several different junctions throughout the course of the last 2 years. All of our conversations haven't been online before the public. In fact, myself and Polight have spoken more times offline. I have his phone number still. He has my phone number. And in the course of our dialogue, what we realized is that Polight, number one, said to me in trying to pick a topic, he said to me, what you want to debate on? And I said, let's debate on Sumer. I said, since the Kemetic community feels as if, you know, Shaka didn't do the greatest job, and certainly the Hebrews don't think he did the greatest job. And you even said it to me, the only way you'll debate me is if I get past Shaka. And now here I am about to debate you. So clearly you answered the mystery. Let's do it on Sumer. Polight said, no, I won't debate you on Sumer because we tend to agree on that topic. And I said, wow, that was a wow moment for me, because I know that he comes from the school of Dr. York, and I know that that's what Dr. York was pushing. That ever since Polight entered the Kemetic community, that he shifted his paradigm. But apparently he didn't, because he went on Vlad TV and he spoke about the Virgin Mary in detail. And he began to expound upon the origin of the story. And he said that it comes from the African-based societies. And he said that we would have to go back into ancient Kemet. Then he says we would even have to go back further to Sumeria. Everybody who's friends with me on Facebook knows exactly what Polight said. I shared the video. What I'm gonna do, get a voice recorder and change Polight's voice and make him say something. Polight is on Vlad TV calling Sumer older than Kemet in terms of the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that's conveyed in these circles. So, I mean, that's checkmate. That's checkmate to your entire community. Admitted or not, Polight is your top scholar. There's nobody in your community that can compete on the level that Polight can compete. And they all know that. And the fact that y'all seen Polight visibly run from me is what really pisses y'all off, because y'all expect Polight to be the guy to come and save the day. Even the evening with Professor Smalls, Sonetta said to me, all right, you can't leave like this, because I had just embarrassed the shit out of Professor Smalls. I had a master teacher admit that he's not a master, something that he was very cocky about initially. The very first thing Professor Smalls says is that you're not my equal. I only debate my equals. About 5 minutes after that, he says, I'm no scholar. In other words, why are you picking on me? So you got to laugh at these individuals. They're very laughable to me, because they get on these couches, they get on these platforms, and they boast of having years in. As he told me, I've been to Mecca before you was even born. In a matter of less than 10 minutes, what did that even matter if you even saying that? Because you ran from me. So why even bother mention that you've been to Mecca before Zion Lexx was even born? You hauling ass out the building. Individuals like this are certainly laughable to me. And Polight is definitely the most contradictive person in the entire community, because Polight was always saying in the last 2 years that Kemet inspired everything. Everything came out of Kemet. He goes on Vlad TV and puppets me in more ways than one. He puppets me by saying that Sumeria has older information than Kemet. That's on Vlad TV right now. So that's checkmate to the entire Kemetic conscious community. Another thing that he says on that platform, he says that Kemet had a God concept. And he said that that God concept is exemplified when you look at the glyph for Necha. It's a flag. And he begins to give you an analogy of how the flag represents the concept of Necha. And he says that what causes a flag to blow? Answer, the wind. Can you see the wind? No. Well, okay, rewind, people. I did a lecture almost 2 years ago, almost a full year ago, where I said the exact same thing word for word. And here we have Polight now parroting the exact same thing I just said word for word. Instances now of Brother Polight going on a major platform such as Vlad TV and using that platform not to parrot that which comes out of Kemet, not to parrot that which comes out of the conscious community, but he's parroting those very same things that Zion Lexx has said. So I ask you again, who has made the most impression in the community in the last year or two? We'll let you know.
Damn, if I could drop bombs right now, I would be. Oh man, oh man, brother Zion, you know you're gonna get a big backlash for this. You know you're gonna get a big backlash for this. I know people are gonna go in. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'll say this first of all, and in responding to that, it answers the follow-up question. Polight is very contradicting. You know, one thing about knowledge and a person that seeks knowledge, it will begin to transform you. So if you go back in the timeline and you look at Polight's older videos, you know, the videos that show the George Jefferson hairline that he has, you'll see that he's wearing a dashiki. You see that he's dressing in culture. You'll see that the women that are with him, they look modest, they're covered. Just look at the Polight now. The brother that tells you that he negates European culture is brandishing it. Not just in dress, but even in thought, because he referred to black people recently as savages. The very same thing that white people usually do in defense of white supremacy. Well, we're savages, and then that justifies why they come in and they do what they do. So to me, this is extremely contradictory. And again, it becomes laughable because the same people that the conscious community have looked up to for the last 2 years, that the Hebrews have been telling you for how long are full of shit, y'all starting to now see it. Look how much support the brother has lost from his own community as a result of his own ways. The brother Sarnetta actually went out and banged on him. But when I said those exact same things, I was being fake. I was being Lion Lexx. You know, time is the best expose. It's the best mechanism to expose the nature of man. Give a man enough time and you'll see who he is. You can only front but so long. The information that one learns is supposed to transform you spiritually, which again, when you go back into Polight's history, you see it. But there's things that come with sharing information, and these are great platforms. And these great platforms come with money. Watch the transition between the time that he came in till now, and watch how the power, I don't know what power that would be, but I've heard people speak of him as being powerful now. And watch how the money has changed him to where now the same sisters and brothers that he built up, he's now tearing down. I don't live in the hood. I send my kids to private school. We out in 90210. We're in Beverly Hills, surrounded by the same crackers that he was banging on in every lecture. So at the end of the day, your conscious community is a joke and very laughable because you allowed this man to come in, sell you anything you wanted to hear, and he bought a one-way ticket the fuck out of your face. And I have to talk it like how I feel it because I always got to keep it real. So when we talk about can success compromise the integrity of a man, I would say, well, shit, Polight is the poster boy for that answer.
Damn. All right, you know what? I think later on we have to open up the telephone lines. I want someone to call in. I want to hear if we got any rebuttals for this, because you know what? This is getting mad controversial. Again, if I could drop bombs, I'll be dropping bombs right now. You know what, brother? Before, actually, you know what? The volume looks pretty loud here. Let me just try to turn that down just in case. Let me know if the volume is loud, people. If the volume is loud, please let me know. If it's distorted, please let me know in the comment section down below. But real quickly, again, I know we might have some new people on Titans TV, and I want everybody to be on the same page. I want everybody to be tuning into everything that Titans TV is doing over here. So real quickly, for those people who don't know about Titans TV, we do conscious lectures, discussions, debates, and interviews just like this on Titans TV. We have a section called Speakers Corner. This is one of the most famous, pastimes in British culture, and that is just to get together, have discussions, debate about politics, religion, relationships, you name it. We debate about it. So please tune into these debates. We've got the Muslims, Christian debates, atheist debates, Hebrew Israelite debates, Kemetic debates, Jewish debates, you name it. We've got the debates going on Titans TV. So please tune into that. Subscribe to Titans TV. Make sure you go onto the playlist and actually play all of the videos. And of course, we do shows like this, Talk with the Titans. As you can see here, we've had our brother Nasi Yashibel last week. The real Black Atheist, part of the Amon Squad, Tariq Nasheed, brother Young Pharaoh, the sister Queen of Four, Lord Abba. We've had so many different people come on the channel as well. So please stay tuned and kind of tune into what we've got going on. Next, actually on Wednesday, we're gonna have our brother Minister Inky coming on to the show as well. We've also had brothers like Ranoka Rashidi on the show. So please check out the different playlists and stay tuned with everything that Titans TV is up to. All right, my brother. You know what? I've been hearing some big things about you. I know we need to get into this presentation. But I've been hearing some major things going on with you. I'm hearing that you're actually going to universities to do some lectures out there. I'm hearing some big names I've even had featured on my channel, such as James White, such as Dr. Michael Brown. Some of them are running away from debating you, and some of them want to debate you. So, please let me know what's been going on in the life of Zion Lex. Since we haven't seen you on the scene, since I've been away as well, what's been going on with my brother Zion Lex?
Thank you very much, man. I appreciate that. And let me say this, man. Shout out to brother Nasi Yashuva, man. That's my brother. We've been distant for some time now due to some inner issues. But one thing about a true brother, there's no amount of time that could pass that could really sever a genuine bond. My blood brother right now, me and him haven't been talking for years. And most of it is due to the fact that we don't live close to one another. But I know when I see my blood brother, man, it's going to be straight love. And I got that kind of love for brother Nasi. And I caught the show that he did with you last week. It was a beautiful show. I saw a lot of the themes circulating or encircling or enwrapped around some of the very same things that I've come in the community to share. I think he made some very, very powerful points, man. And I think that people should pay attention to that video, because at the end of the day, that which comes out of Kemet. I speak objectively about everything. If you go on my channel, you would see that just as much as I've come at people in the Kemetic community, I come at Hebrews as well. As a result, I'm loved and hated by all, including Hebrew brothers. Like that, I'm indebted to the truth first and man second. I always got to keep it real. With that being said, me being blackballed from the so-called conscious community has definitely not stopped the work. In fact, a lot of people have taken notice of the things that I'm doing. My books are in Barnes and Nobles right now, as they've been for over a year, and that's going great. I have a couple of book signings coming up in a couple of parts of the country. I have a lecture coming up next month, in January, at Temple University in their African Studies department. Very interesting, because the conscious community is following the agenda, right? Or the idea that, Hebrews are anti-African, blah, blah, blah. But the chairman of the African Studies at Temple University just cleared me to come and do a lecture there. That tells you that no matter how hard ignorant people work towards trying to bring you down, those who have enough knowledge, wisdom, and understanding will be sure to make sure that you standing tall and your information is being heard. And I can't wait to get there at Temple University because, you know, some very, very good brothers in the community have taught there as well. You know, shout out to the brother Sojedi. He has definitely given lectures there as well. And the fact that we see things differently doesn't take away from that brother's scholarship. That brother's contribution is great. But I always say, when you come out of your lane, that's when you have a problem. That brother is excellent in his lane. Anything after that, he's going to have a problem, especially with people like me. I recently, in the last couple of months, received a lot of phone calls. As the conscious community and certainly the Hebrew community is aware of, GOCC, the elder or leader of GOCC, Elder Ricard, had a debate, two debates with Dr. James White, a European apologist, Christian apologist. And both debates went very, very bad for Elder Ricard. And, you know, a lot of the community, the Hebrew community was let down by it. You know, they were counting on him to really come in and smash Dr. James White. Afterwards, Dr. James White, as many European intellectual colonists do, I call him an intellectual colonist because I believe that there was a lot of design to why he elected and chose to do what he did with Elder Ricard. I think he is arrogating to himself that he has the ability to come into the conscious community and cause an uproar by tearing up different circles. So I call him an intellectual colonist. And somehow he arrogated to himself that after he got past Elder Ricard, that he could call out Brother Zion Lexx, which he did. He reached out to me through a mutual friend of his, a guy by the name of Vocab Malone. And Vocab Malone called me and said, hey, Zion Lexx, would you be interested in debating Dr. James White? I said, sure. A couple of weeks passed, almost a full month, to James White to do his research. He soon came back and said, I'm not interested in having a debate with Zion Lexx. He's into mysticism. And I don't want to argue mysticism because at the end of the day, it'll become an opinionated based argument. I'd rather deal with groups like GMS. You'd rather have a debate with GMS than sit down with somebody who represents a very high level of scholarship. You know what these guys are doing? They're looking for the W. They're not looking to have genuine dialogue and discuss matters that would bring about wisdom, understanding, or knowledge. They're looking for the win. And they're looking for somebody to catch that easy L. They pick and choose who they want very, very carefully. And they are not choosing opponents based on scholarship. That's something that you've seen in the conscious community too. Look at some of the people that have been on the couch recently. It's a goddamn joke what we see, man. The same people running around talking about spaceships somehow got the biggest flashing lights behind them. Everybody was laughing about that. And we just finally got over the fact that many people laughed at Polight because he believed in aliens and all that. Now you got this alien people running around kicking their knowledge. I mean, this stuff is very, very funny, man. It's a joke to me, you know. So Dr. James White, as I checked him intellectually in a video and made it very, very clear that he is not bypassing me because I'm into mysticism and he doesn't understand mysticism. He's bypassing me because he did enough research to understand that I'm coming to give that work, a work that he can't afford to lose because he represents a very large community. Fast forward, you have somebody that by the name of Dr. Michael Brown on Oprah Winfrey's couch. And he's a major, major, major Messianic European / Jewish Christian who understands the biblical Hebrew language. And I can co-sign it because I've definitely heard him speak a lot of times. I spoke with his manager. And his manager said, Dr. Michael Brown would love to debate you. He's been hearing some really great things about you. He's watched some of your videos and he has a very, very huge appreciation for your understanding of the Hebrew language. And he thinks that you would probably be the best person for him to have a dialogue with because of your depth of insight when it comes to the language. I accepted. Then they turned around the Friday afternoon. They turned around that Friday night and was like, okay, it's going to be tomorrow, early afternoon, Saturday, closed circuit. The debate, then we're going to do editing, and then we'll release the footage. So I said, wait, time out. You come to me on Friday afternoon, Dr. Michael Brown, who sat on Oprah's couch, a major collegiate debater who spoke and debated at Oxford University, you name it, he's been there. You call me on Friday afternoon and say that you're interested in debating little old me. Then you call me back Friday evening just before the sun goes down, and you explain to me that you want to have the debate the next day, early afternoon, when you know that Israelites are Sabbath keepers and nothing comes before the Sabbath, so I'm not having no debate with you on Sabbath. So that's a joke, that's laughable. I don't have time to get message out to my following, of which I have a huge Israelite following, and you're gonna debate me in less than 15 hours? This is a joke. So I told him, I said, listen, that's not gonna happen. Nobody's gonna get me to do a debate on Shabbat, which is the Creator's Day, or what we would call in English the Lord's Day. I said, what I will do though, I said, I'll debate you Sunday morning in my slippers, wherever, whenever. And he said, okay, we'll get back to you. They haven't got back to me since. So at the end of the day, a lot of these guys are very, very laughable with the things that they do. He was pressured into taking on a debate with me. The community saw that Dr. James White was running from me, and Dr. Michael Brown was the only one that can come in and save him. And he really didn't want the work either, because he tried to set up a debate in less than 24 hours, a debate that he knows would not have happened because I'm a Sabbath observer. So at the end of the day, a lot of the things that I've done in the last year have created a lot of great avenues for me. Aside from the Temple University lecture that's coming up, there's actually an entire college tour that we're working on right now, which is immense, because this is the thing that the conscious community wants to stop about the Hebrews. They don't want to see the Hebrews on top. Why do you think they only invite certain Hebrews to the platform? If you ever see me on Sarnetta's couch again, they got somebody new. Because Sarnetta already know there ain't nobody in the community that could touch me.
And you know what? Since we're actually on the topic of debates right about now, there's a debate coming up, I believe, December the 18th over in Harlem against the Amon-Ra squad and Young Pharaoh and Sarasuit and Seti. I want you to chime in. I want you to weigh in on this particular debate. I believe it's whether the metadata has been deciphered. I don't know if you've been keeping up to date with what's been going on the back and forth. I want you to, weigh in on your thoughts on this particular debate and the individuals such as Sarasuit and Seti and Young Pharaoh.
Okay. Weighing on the debate with Sarasuit and Seti and Young Pharaoh. I'm not sure why Pharaoh's there. Pharaoh has admitted that he is newly immersed in the information, right? Pharaoh has been in the community, a full year now. He said that he first got into the information when he was locked up, but he was only locked up a couple of months, almost a full year, I think maybe 2. I could be wrong, but check me on that. But let's say even 3 years. 3 years of delving into information, and now you want to debate these heavyweight titans? The people who have accepted a debate with him is out of their mind. I wouldn't take a debate with somebody like that. That's a joke. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, that debate should be between Seti and somebody strong enough from the Amon-Ra squad and have that conversation. I think that Young Pharaoh is way out of his league. And I have no loyalty to either side, so I'm forced to keep it extremely real. If you think that I would, be here just hating on the young brother, I'm keeping it all the way real. There's nothing that the young brother has said so far that has impressed me at all. In fact, his arrogance is just crazy. It's out the window, man. It's out the box. But peace to his manager. I know his manager, very, very nice lady. Has always spoken to me, very, very, very genuine, and I have a lot of respect for her. But that young man, I really think that he's not ready to have that kind of a dialogue. Brother Seti has to be very, very careful, because there are people in the Amon-Ra squad that I believe would tear Seti a new butt, and Seti would have to be very, very careful about that. If you ask me to call it, my take would say Amon-Ra squad all day. That would be my take on that.
All right, all right, all right. You know what? I can't wait for this upcoming debate. You know what? I'm seeing a lot of things. I actually need to get these brothers actually on, you know what, in the studio, and we should go through a few things. We should definitely go through a few things. I've been away. I've been missing for a little while from the community. I know the community loves the whole back and forth. You know, and when one video drops on Sarnetta, there's another video dropping over here on Titans TV, a deeper insight and interview of what's actually really going on in the community. So hopefully I'm going to come back here. I'm coming back in. I'm slowly but surely, I'm coming back into the community family. You know, so definitely look out for some great things popping up on the channel. You know what? I want to know, do you actually want to hear this this presentation right now? My brother is about to go in on this presentation, the Kabbalah Unveiled. So if you want to see this presentation, give me a big thumbs up. Let me know that you're liking and let me know you're loving the information so far. Give us a big thumbs up. Let us know, let us know, let us know. I'm going to check it right now. I want to check. What is the like button saying? You lot are just crazy. All right. So you know what? Let me go into this, man. Let me go into this. Zion, if you're ready, I'm going to hit the presentation button right now. So just let me know if you're ready or not.
I'm absolutely ready. Let's get it in, man. This is what I came here for. This is what I do best. When I have to actually, debate people, especially people that bring out the ignorant side of me, it takes away from that work that I really, really know how to give, which is genuine scholarship. So let's get it in.
All right, let's put in that work. Let's go. All right. So please let me know, people, if you can see the presentation right now. Just hit me up, just press a 1. Let me know you can see the presentation, the Kabbalah Unveiled by Zion Lexx.
All right, so let's first open up by dispelling some myths. When people even hear the term Kabbalah, the first thing they think as a very dim light just said in the chat room, they think it's a Jewish witchcraft. So let's do the timeline real quick. So European Jewry converted to the Israelite way of life and heritage in the year 740 CE by way of the Khazarian Empire, the empire of the Khazars. The conscious community is very, very familiar with them, and they may not be familiar with the dates, but they're very, very familiar with them. So Jewish people came into existence literally not in 1948, but in 740 AD or in 740 CE, Common Era. The Kabbalah stretches back. Oh man, I mean, if we're going to talk about it being referenced on paper, the earliest reference on paper for the Kabbalah is replete throughout the Dead Sea Scrolls. The Dead Sea Scrolls is replete with Kabbalistic material, Kabbalistic literature. Many of them are not even available to the public. And those that are available to the public are so enigmatic that you wouldn't even realize that you're looking at Kabbalistic literature. So when we equate the Kabbalah with European Jewry, it's no fault of yours. You're subject to what you see on TV and your environment. But if you was to take a step outside of the programming that they're feeding you, you would see that this esoteric science certainly is not indebted to any European Jew at all. In fact, on the level of Kabbalistic learning, you will see that all of the mystery schools and all of the mystery systems become one. Dare I say that? On the level of Kabbalistic learning, you will see all of the mystery schools become one. Kemet has an Etz Chaim as well, a tree of life. Anybody who has ever got into the Kemetic esoteric science, you would understand what I'm saying. So, and most people are not aware of the Sumerian esoteric science, which is a whole nother paradigm, but still at the DNA level, it is one and the same. So while on the surface, all of these schools are arguing, all of the initiates understand what's going on, because on the initiate level, it's all one system. While on the surface, all of the baseline people with minimal information, the minimalists, they're arguing, again, behind closed doors, all the initiates are shaking hands because all of the information is one on the esoteric level. So I entitled tonight's lecture, Kabbalah Unveiled. And one of the reasons why I entitled it Unveiled is because for the Israelite community in particular, I wanted to remove the veil of tabooism that is attached to it. Whenever you hear the term Kabbalah, Israelites run, oh man, that's that European stuff. These same Israelites are supposed to be great with timelines, but they call the Kabbalah that European stuff. I have a problem with that. I demand a high level of scholarship from my peers and my brothers. That's why I'm always looking at my brothers sideways when they hear the term Kabbalah and they run for the door, because that's that Jewish information, that's that European stuff. That's crazy when you think like that, because this information, this literature precedes them by hundreds of years, thousands of years, in fact. So I mean, when you get into the genuine seed level, or again the DNA level, you'll see the difference between the two. So Kabbalah Unveiled will begin with the very next slide. Okay, so most of y'all in here don't have a clue what's going on, because most of y'all in here don't even read Hebrew. And I'm not particularly talking to my Hebrews, I'm talking to a lot of the Kemetic people who are in the room right now. The things about the Kabbalah. Anybody who tells you that, you know, I read the Kabbalah, I got that. I want you to look over this interview that I'm doing, or this lecture and presentation that I'm doing. I want you to really, really immerse yourself in it. And then I want you to come back to that same statement that you made or that you heard somebody made. And I'm gonna say that statement again. When you encounter people that say, oh, I got the Kabbalah, I read that. I got a Kabbalah at home. The Kabbalah is not any one book. So when you're talking about, I got the Kabbalah, I have to ask you, can you show me what you're talking about? There's a Kabbalah book? I know there's a lot of books on Kabbalah, but there's a Kabbalah book? Well, show me. Because I'm 37 and I've been immersed in this information since age 18. And I have yet to come across a Kabbalah book. And the books on Kabbalah that I'm reading are all in the Hebrew. And that's where all the mysteries are, because nothing is revealed or shared openly in the English language. Hebrews can tell you that, because a lot of the information that is shared in a lot of the Hebrew texts, a lot of the Hebrew literature, even if it has an English transliteration, at some point in the text, when they get into the enigmatic material, that'll be totally Hebrew. They will not open up the English translation because they don't want you to see it. Go download a Zohar app and see if the entire app is in English. No, it's not, because they don't want you to know the entire Zohar. They're only going to spoon feed you what they think you need to know. So here's what I'm telling you. There is no one book on Kabbalah. I had a brother ask me a question that I value the other day. But the question that he asked me made me scratch my head in rekindling and reminding me that there's a lot of ignorance in the community. And ignorant just meaning that, you know, a person is not aware of truth. You know, I'm not using it to be disrespectful. But the brother asked me, he said, what edition of the Kabbalah you have? This was the weirdest question of Kabbalah I had ever heard in my life. What edition? I don't mean to, you know, to diss the brother, but I got to keep it real. I had never even heard such a question framed like that. What edition of the Kabbalah you have? There ain't no Kabbalah book. There's no book. I mean, there's books on the Kabbalah, but there is no Kabbalah book. The Kabbalah is an oral tradition and has, from its inception, always been that way and always will be that way. As such, it requires a teacher. So anybody telling you that, yeah, I know the Kabbalah, first thing you have to ask them is, who did you study under? And if this was the conscious community, they're going to say, oh, I studied under A.A. Rashid. Thanks. Don't you do it. Don't you say nothing about A.A. Rashid. Well, shit, why not? Let me say this real quick. Anyone who is talking about Kabbalistic literature should first be someone who is practicing Torah. Because the prerequisite to even get into Kabbalistic literature is a person having a very, very high level of not just knowledge of Torah, but practice. Again, the conscious community is very laughable to me, because when they speak about people who are supposed to be experts on various subject matters, I have to laugh. I have never met the brother A.A. Rashid. I don't know him from a hole in the wall. But what I do know is that he doesn't acknowledge himself as a Hebrew. So I definitely know he ain't keeping Torah. And you want to convince the people that you understand the oral tradition of the Kabbalah. There is no self-taught person in Kabbalistic circles. You have to have a teacher. The very name itself entails that information is being transferred to you by a master adept. The word Kabbalah literally means to receive. That means something is coming from something other than you. The word Kabbalah in the etymological dictionary of biblical Hebrew literally means to receive or to transmit. That means if you're receiving something, that means something is coming from without you, not from within you. It is coming from without you. How are you a self-taught Kabbalist? I'll wait. How are you talking about you know Kabbalah and you don't understand Torah? I'll wait. So it takes Hebrews now, and there's not many, but there's a couple of us out here who are very much immersed in Torah, who are very much immersed in the esoteric understanding of Torah, which we call Kabbalah, that can come in and show you. Because I will tell you right now, if you are not practicing Torah, you can't tell me a damn thing about Kabbalah. You might sound intelligent to those people, but it's pretty much the Damon Dash effect. You sound smart to stupid people. Because if you don't practice Torah, yet you become the banner for the Kabbalah, and people are buying this, you become smart to stupid people, in the words of Dame Dash. And I gotta keep it real. And we're gonna see today, throughout this lecture, this PowerPoint presentation, that you have to be deeply immersed in Torah, number one, Kabbalah. So the Kabbalistic tradition is based on these premises. And here is the first premise. When Moses received the Torah, there goes that word received. When Moses received the Torah, he was not just given the physical body of literature. The Creator took him, according to our literature, according to our tradition, according to our texts, took him on Mount Sinai, had him there 40 days and 40 nights. God was communicating to him the entire Torah, from Aleph to Tav, from 1 to 613, the 613 laws. God was communicating to Moses the entire Torah. He was in an intellectual academy on high, 40 days and 40 nights. So I have to ask you the common sense question. Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the physical tablets. And when he did, in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 5:28, God says that you are to teach them the commandments that I just taught you, that they may live. All of us have the commandments because it's in the text, but where's the teaching? The teaching is the oral exposition, because when you're teaching, you are expounding upon something orally. Where are the oral expositions of Moses? The very term Moses received Torah, you can't even say Moses received Torah in Hebrew without saying Kabbalah. Did you know that? You can't even say Moses received the Torah in Hebrew without saying Moshe, which means Moses, Kibel, which is the root word of Kabbalah. Moshe Kibel Torah. My brother Kalam, do you read Hebrew? Brother Kalam?
Yeah. I read Hebrew. I read Hebrew small. I can.
What does the first three words say?
The first three words is meme, sheen, ha. So Moshe. That's a Q. That's a B, and that's a L. Is that Lamed? Yeah, that's a Lamed. So Kabbalah. Yep. And then that's a Tav. That's
Vav, Resh, Hey.
Resh.
Torah.
Yeah. Torah.
Right. So the first.
So Moshe,
I'm
Torah.
Exactly. So I'm having you do that so that people understand that I'm not making things up. So the first three words in the text that we're looking at says Moshe Kibel Torah Mi Sinai. Moses received the Torah on Mount Sinai. But you can't even say Moses received the Torah without using the root word for Kabbalah, Kibel. Very interesting. Extremely interesting. Because you even have Israelites that talk against Kabbalah, but these same Israelites are talking with people in English and be like, yeah, Moses received the 10 Commandments. Yeah, Moses received the law. Most of them don't even speak Hebrew. In Hebrew, they would stop for a second and be like, oh shit, because I definitely just said Kabbalah when I said that he received it. This is the education that needs to return to the people. This is why I always stress that whenever you offer your commentary on Torah, it must be based upon your understanding of the language. If you are not getting into the language of the text, you are going to be lost in the source. Because again, you can't even say Moses received the Torah in Hebrew without saying the root word for Kabbalah, Moshe Kibel Torah. I got another one for you. You can't even say teach Torah in Hebrew without saying Talmud. Go to the book of Deuteronomy chapter 5:28, where the Creator tells Moses, and you shall teach them these laws. Look at that word for teach them. Get yourself a concordance. That word for teach them in Hebrew is talmedem, the plural of Talmud. But Israelites don't read Hebrew. So this is the problem. You will always be ignorant and reject that which you have no understanding of. Let's move on to the next slide. So we look at the Torah as the blueprint of creation, literally, right? And modern science confirms this. Nah, Lion Legs, come on. What you talking about? Modern science don't confirm nothing coming out of that spooky book. All right, well, let's check this out real quick. When I had my dialogue with Shaka, he wanted to make Proverbs chapter 8, verses 22 through 30, a reference to Osiris. Y'all remember that? Okay, rewind and fast forward. I came and I caused him to look at the text within the context of the text. Remember? Context, void of subtext, is pretext. I was the one that caused him to look at it objectively. And when we did so, it was clear that it wasn't talking about no Osiris. It was clear that the Torah was speaking about itself as manifesting before all things created. But come on, Zion Lex, this don't make no sense. You mean to tell me that the laws of the Torah was here before the universe? Well, doesn't quantum physics say that about the universe itself? There's a reason why I'm invited to speak in universities. I know a thing or two about a thing or two. Quantum mechanics is a beautiful scientific area that quantifies the essence of any literature dealing with the concept of God. Why do I say that? Because when we open up the door to quantum mechanics, we come into this beautiful room called quantum physics. And one of the first premises in quantum physics is that the laws of the physical universe predate the universe itself by a couple thousand years, to quote modern scientists. The laws of the physical universe predate the universe itself. So when we go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 8, verse 30, the verse that you see right there, the verse that says, I was his nursling in English, come out the English. Look at that Hebrew word. That Hebrew word is amon, which means architect. The Torah is not saying I was his nursling in English. They're trying to distract you from what's going on in the English. That's why it's imperative that Hebrews learn Hebrew. You be calling ourselves Hebrews, but there's very few people speaking Hebrew. And this be the problem. In Proverbs chapter 8, verse 30, the Torah describes itself as the architect or the blueprint of creation. Because that word in English that y'all keep saying is nursling, the Hebrew word is amon. And amon literally means an architect or a blueprint. The Torah is the blueprint of creation. The 613 laws of the Torah that pre-existed the universe itself is the blueprint of creation. And when you get into all of the mystery schools, they are all saying the same thing. when you go into the mystery schools of Kemet, they are saying that the laws of Ma'at is the basis of the universe, and it pre-existed the universe. And if the laws of Ma'at are not followed for an instance, all will return to Isfet. Am I wrong, Brother Kalam? If the
No,
laws
you're
of
right.
Ma'at
You're right.
is
You're
not
right.
practiced, it all turns back to chaos, correct?
That's correct. That's
Which
correct.
is Isfet in the Kemetic tongue, correct?
That's right. It's fed or as fed.
All right. The Hebrew is saying the same thing. If no one is keeping Torah, nowhere on the face of the earth, it all returns to chaos immediately, something that is echoed in Kemet. And the Sumerians are saying the same thing. The Sumerians are saying that if all of the laws of the universe are not followed, the universe will return back to chaos. You see, it's on the esoteric level that we will see all of the mystery schools unite. And this is the level of understanding that will bridge the gap between the immature individuals that you see on this platform. I have always been ready for genuine dialogue. Put me in front of somebody that behaves genuine, you'll see a greater dialogue. But if you continue to put me in front of animals, you're going to see an animal. I'm a water sign. Whatever you put in front of me, I will reflect. I will become that. So if you want to put a beast in front of me, I'm going to become a bigger beast. But if you want to see scholarship, put a scholar in front of me. Next slide. Here is where we're going to get extremely interesting. And no, Torah does not equal Ma'at, my brother. I'm not sure why you would say that. I love to, chime in on the box because people sometimes share intelligence things. But no, the Torah is not equal to Ma'at. Ma'at represents, from the Kemetic literature, a set series of laws that function within and without the universe. The Torah itself has a similar function. But to say, is the Torah Ma'at, you cannot do that, because when you look at the Torah and you look at Ma'at, you are looking at two different things. But the problem is we're all looking at it on a surface level. When you look at it on the DNA level, I'm telling you right now, of a very, very, very divine system. So not to distract me from the presentation, let me get back really quick. The first three words of the Torah is Bereshit bara Elohim. I have a question, Brother Kalam. I know that you know a little Hebrew, so I have a question for you, Brother Kalam. Mm-hmm. Is the name mentioned in the first verse and first chapter of Genesis? And by the name, I'm talking about the Tetragrammaton. Can we find the Tetragrammaton, what the Hebrews call God's name, anywhere in the first book, in the first chapter of Genesis?
In the first chapter?
Right.
Ooh, not that I can recall. Not that I can recall.
That's right. That's right. We don't see the Tetragrammaton manifest until Genesis chapter 2.
2, that's correct.
Where it talks about the creation of man's soul. That's the first time we see the Tetragrammaton coming into fruition within the text. The first chapter of Genesis uses the title Elohim. A title is not a name. I want to be very, very clear on that. A title is not a name. You may call Sarah Suit and Seti the general, but his name is Sarah Suit and Seti. God is not the name of the creator, nor is Elohim the name of the creator. It is a title which functions and fills within the sphere of what is called an attribute. That title is clothed in an attribute, or that attribute is clothed within the title. The term Elohim denotes in Hebraic law justice or divine law. Judges in the land of Israel were literally called Elohim. When you go into the book of Exodus chapter 21, wherever you see the judges being referenced, not mishpat or mishpatim or shoftim, officers and judges, the word used in Hebrew is Elohim. Our judges were called gods in the plural. Why? Because they were adjudicating divine law. As such, the position that they're holding is a position of divinity. So they were addressed by the term Elohim. In Genesis chapter 1, it says, Bereshit bara Elohim. The word Bereshit can be broken down as with wisdom. The first letter bait is a preposition. A preposition is the term in or with. In or with. In or with conceptually alludes to the idea of the transcendence and immanence of the Creator, how he both fills the universe and surrounds it simultaneously and paradoxically at the same time. Conceptualized in that one letter bait, the initial letter in Bereshit, which acts as a preposition, which means in or with. The next term is Reshit. Throughout the book of Proverbs, King Solomon equates wisdom with Reshit. He says over a dozen times, Reshit Chachma, Reshit Chachma, Reshit Chachma. Reshit means beginning, and Chachma is the Hebrew word for wisdom. So King Solomon always equates the term beginning with the term wisdom. So wherever we see Reshit, we know that we're looking at the term wisdom. So instead of reading the first word of the Torah as in the beginning, you know more properly to read it as with beginning. I'll even give you an additional gem. Look at the vowel underneath the letter bait for those that actually know Hebrew. That vowel is called what? A zere. When a zere is under the letter bait in the Hebrew text, it is almost always translated as with. The word or the vowel that is under the bait to give it an in is the chamatz vowel or the patak. That's where we will see it function of in, but the zere makes it with. That's an additional jewel, teaching you how to actually read the text. You would know to read Bereshit as with beginning and not in the beginning, simply if you look at the vowel. Because the vowel zere under the bait is translated 99.9% of the time in the Torah as with, not in. So it's literally with beginning, created Elohim. This is going to be very, very powerful, and I want people to pay attention to what I'm saying. What do you mean with beginning? He created, because bara as a verb literally means he created. And the grammatic stem that it's functioning with, it has the function of the masculine past tense, which is he created. So bara literally means he created. And then we have Elohim. If you're not really functioning on a very, very deep level, a lot of this information is going to miss you, which is why I know a lot of this information is not for everybody. This is for those that have keen and careful insight, because follow me. When you literally read it, going by the literal Hebrew, the first three words of the Torah does not translate as in the beginning God created. The first three words of the Torah literally translates as with wisdom he created Elohim. That's crazy, because that first verse is saying that God was created. That in itself is deep. And that would only make sense when you understand Hebrew culture, Hebrew tradition, and Hebrew literature. And you understand that the term God or Elohim is a title. It identifies the ineffable one, he who we cannot define, the most abstract thing in existence that we're calling God. The term Elohim identifies him as the creator. But I have to ask you a common sense question. Creation is said to have a beginning. So before the beginning, how would you address him? Would you call him the creator? Nothing's created yet. The term Elohim is only significant in relation to creation. Hence why you only see it in the entire chapter. There's no other divine title used at all. You don't even see the tetragrammaton. All you see is Elohim, that creative function. And when you get into the literature and you understand that Elohim denotes divine law and justice, it again points to the idea that the universe was created with the Torah. The same divine laws that all of the mystery schools are talking about as the foundation of all things that exist. The same thing that quantum physics is saying about the universe itself. The laws of the physical universe predate the universe itself.
Jeez. No.
Whenever you use the term Elohim, go ahead, brother.
My brother, pull up, rewind. I don't think they got that one. I don't think they got it. Please. Rewind and spit that fire once more.
You got it, my brother. You got it. Whenever we use the title Elohim, it's in relation to creation. The term Elohim identifies the ineffable one. And by the ineffable one, I'm for those that may not know the definition of ineffable, I'm talking about he who is beyond description, what you are calling God. God is a title, it's an attribute. And that attribute, again, is only in relation to creation. But again, schools are speaking about the universe having a beginning. So if the universe had a beginning, that means there was a time where the only thing that existed, the universe into existence. And at that time, I have to ask you a question. What would you call him? Would you call him Elohim? I think not. Elohim is a creation. It's a new thing. It only existed or came into existence with the manifestation of creation. That's why the first three words of the Torah literally reads as, with wisdom, he created Elohim. Because Elohim is a creation within itself, that title. Zion Lexx is crazy, y'all. He did a lecture last night that said that God created God. This is going to be the stuff that ignorant people walk away with, because some people just don't have enough insight to sit down, listen, and grasp genuine wisdom. And, you know, you're never going to reach people like that. But to people who have a deeper sense of thought, you're getting a lot of jewels right now. And this is only the start. By the end of the presentation, you're going to be blown away. On a Kabbalistic level, when we're looking at Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, here comes something very, very powerful. The idea that the term Elohim is a creation within itself. And we know that it's a creation within itself because let's look at it another way. You want to get deep? Let's get deep for a second. Let me show you how all the mystery schools are united. And I'm talking to my Hebrews right now that know Hebrew. And I'm talking to the people in the conscious community who are familiar with the mystery system that they're supposed to be immersed in. All of the mystery schools describe the advent of creation as coming forth from primordial waters. Kalam, am I right or am I wrong?
Facts.
All right. Genesis chapter 1 opens up with those same primordial waters. Am I right or am I wrong?
You're right. Facts.
Okay. For those that know Hebrew now, let's see if Hebrew is saying the same thing from the very first. I said the term Elohim is a creation, and it is signifying he who brought the creation into existence. That means it's only relative to the creation itself. So it is identifying the ineffable one, the one that you can't even name, because even when you look at the Tetragrammaton, it's not a name. Let's get deep for a second. They talk about we got deep people in the community. I've yet to see those people. But let's get deep for a second. When we name something, are you aware of what you're doing? Most people are not. The Hebrew word for name is Shem. So when I see another Hebrew and I don't know him, I'll be like, yo, my Shem Ka. Ma means what? Shem means name. Ka means you. My Shem Ka, what's your name? The word for name in Hebrew is Shem. But Shem in Hebrew literally means essence. My brother Nasi Yashuvel broke it down even further on a very deep level and showed you that Shem is actually melanin. Why is it in Hebraic thought that melanin is the same word conceptually as essence? The same thing that the conscious community have been trying to teach the world. Melanin is the essence of the universe. So in Hebrew thought, the very term for melanin is also the term for essence, and it's also the term for name. And it's all one word, Shem. So when you think about the Asiatic Israelites that come out of that lineage of Shem, that's a very, very deep thing when you really get into the language, just in case y'all didn't know. Shem is a very, very beautiful thing. But let's get back to the Tetragrammaton. When we name something, we are supposed to be defining the essence of that thing that we're naming. But in the English culture, that's a joke today. Let's think about it. Let's look at something basic. Let's look at what women wear, nylon stockings. Let me ask you a question, Kalam. Why did the person who created nylon stockings elect to call it nylon? Quick answer, yes or no? Do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, before I hit you with that, let me get you with this. When we name something, we're identifying with the essence of that thing. So let's look at the term water. Water from a scientific point of view, is 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen, correct?
Correct.
All right, let's look at the Hebrew word for water. Mayim. Mem, yod, mem. We notice something. There's 2 mems. The Hebrew letter mem means water. That's hydrogen. The letter in the yod that's oscillating in the middle is the middle letter of the Hebrew word for oxygen, which is aware. In the Hebraic thought, when we look at the word for water itself, it's literally telling you 2 parts hydrogen and 1 part oxygen. That's identifying with the essence of the thing that you're naming. That's that special gift that Adam gave out in Genesis chapter 2, where it says the Creator brought all things before it and he named it. What was Adam demonstrating by doing that? His wisdom. Because everything that he named identified with the essence of that thing that he named. Let's get into the Tetragrammaton. We ain't even there yet. Let's get into the Tetragrammaton.
I just had to go into the Medonetter and see if it actually corresponds as well. In the Medonetter, we have the word nun for water. Nu meaning water, and then obviously the W, the wu, meaning air as well. And we have 2 N's and 1 W. It's the same thing in both Kemet and in Hebrew tongue. Wow.
You see? I told you on the DNA level it's all united. But here we go. Do we think that the Tetragrammaton defines God? The ineffable one? You can't define God. You're crazy. You can't define the creator. You can't define him who brought all of this into existence. He even teaches you that when he gave you his name. And he's so brilliant because he knows that he is beyond your imagination. He is beyond investigation. Yet he wanted to give you a name that you can address him as. But he knows a name is supposed to define the essence of the thing that you name it. And you can't define his essence. So what would be the name that he could give you? No name can grasp his essence. Check out how brilliant the Creator is. He took the past, present, and future tense for existence and gave that to you as his name. He took Hu, Haya, which means he was. He took Hu, Howe, which means he is. He is. And he took Hu, Ye, which means he will be. The Tetragrammaton is composed of the 3 Hebrew verb tenses for past, present, and future of existence. What is he telling you? If he's telling you that I'm the present, I'm the past, and I'm the future, he's telling you that you can't define me. So his name is telling you I'm the nameless one. His very name is telling you I'm the nameless one because I'm the one that you can't define. Because if something has no beginning and it has no end, you can't put a definition on it. That which has a definition has a limit. So when you say that you 5'11", you can only say so because there's an apex and there's a crown. You have a beginning and you have an end. Anything that you name, you are ascribing a definition or a limit. Anything you name, you are limiting. The Creator, when he gave us his name, he gave us a name that shows you I am beyond limitation. Because I am the past and future present tense for existence, something that you can't even fathom, because your existence is centered and evolved around the idea that you have a beginning and you do have an end. I don't. And this is what our master adepts understood. Well, let's get into it real quick, because we didn't even really get there yet. In a Kabbalistic circle, we would refer to the Creator in Hebrew as Ayin Sof, or some people say Ein Sof. Ein or Ayin in Hebrew literally means nothing or without. Sof in Hebrew means end, like E-N-D, like the end of something. Like how we refer to Kaf Sufi, Mem Sufi, the end letters, those five end letters in the Hebrew language. Kaf Sufi, Mem Sufi, Nun Sufi, Fe Sufi, Zadeh Sufi. Every time we say Sufi, we're describing the end. Sof literally means end. Ein means without end. So the Kabbalists refer to the Creator as Ein Sof, he who was without limitation. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, the next slide is really getting into the conceptual logistics, as I would kind of coin it, of creation. The abstract nature of the ultimate nothingness. What do you mean? Let's go into philosophy real quick. Let's see where people's minds are really, really at. People, brag about the brilliance of their culture, but too many times when we get on the platforms, we spend arguing and displaying ego that we barely get a chance to really, really get into those beautiful gems that lie there in the culture. So let's dig into it real quick by looking at the culture of the Hebrews. The term Ein Sof literally means without limitation or beyond limitation or no end. It literally means no end, because Ein means no and Sof means end, no end. That's the infinite one, or like I say, the ineffable one, right? Don't be sliding through too much of my slide columns. But what you're looking at right now is that perfect circle that y'all love to associate me with. That brother Polight said, man, now see, where you get this brother Zion Lexx from? Perfect circle, like there's another circle. But then watch what the hypocrite does. He gets on the couch with Shaka, and they start talking about alien intervention in pyramid building. Shaka Amos says that black man built the pyramids. Polight says aliens built it. And by giving you that, Polight provides evidence, he calls, and he says, when you go to Peru and you look at the perfect spheres that are perfectly spherical, nobody caught that, right? Y'all only caught the part where Polight critiqued me for talking about a perfect circle. But when he wanted to validate the idea that aliens intervened in the building of the pyramids, he talked about, well, how else can we explain perfectly spherical objects in Peru? Polight, the same perfect circle your contradictory ass played games with on the couch. You see, I'm genuine to the information. If I share something, I'm invested in the truth thereof. I'm not going to negate truth to win an argument. And Polight has a tendency to do that, because you're now seeing him go back on things that he once told you he was for, and he's really not for it. He's actually telling the truth now. Let's move on to the next slide. Okay, I'm looking at the computer. You already moved on. All right, cool. In reference to that perfect circle, which we know is a mathematical terminology, number one, so I wasn't crazy when I spoke about a perfect circle. In reference to the perfect circle, there's a video that Dr. Ben has on YouTube, Nubia, Mother of Egypt. Nubia, Mother of Egypt. It's a 2-hour video. I just need you to look at the first 10 minutes of the video, where Dr. Ben goes to the blackboard and he draws a perfect circle. Not me, that's what he said, a perfect circle. And he's giving you commentary on this perfect circle. He said, when the ancient Africans envisioned the origin of the universe, this is where they begin to start talking about a perfect circle, or the universe existing as a circle. That's the same thing that Zion Lexx said at the Magic Johnson Theater when brother Sarnetta asked me, what are my views on the Star of David? I said that it's the symbol of creation. I said that anytime you take a perfect circle and you place 6 points in it, they're automatically connected to form a hexagram. That's a natural phenomenon of science. You would be baffled by it, but the scientific community, that's a natural phenomenon for those who know the information. Anytime you take 6 points and you equidistantly space them out in a perfect circle, the shape and form is a hexagram, what we call the Star of David. Why is that so significant? The symbol of the universe is a circle, just like Dr. Ben shows in that video, Nubia, Mother of Egypt. The ancient Africans and Hebrews envisioned the universe as a circle. Why? Because they understood that the universe has no end, something that modern science is now catching up with. Let's get back into quantum physics. Quantum physics says that the universe is expanding. That which is infinite has no end. So that which is infinite is always in the expansion mode because it has no end. It is always infinitely in the expansion mode. It has no end. This is the same thing that I taught that people ridicule And all they had to do was go and look at somebody that you revere who said the same thing. Because when you get into the 4 and 5 minute marker of the video, you'll see that Dr. Ben drew two opposing triangles, one pointing upward and one pointing downward. And he says that this is the symbol that the ancient Africans viewed as a symbol of creation. That's the same Star of David that I was talking about on Son of this Couch. But you don't have to take my word for it. Open up the video, Nubia, Mother of Egypt, where Dr. Ben said the same thing that I said. Need I remind you, while you're calling him Dr. Ben, his name is actually Dr. Yosef Ben Yachanan, because he first came out the Hebrew community. And a lot of the gems he dropped on y'all, he got from the Hebrew community. And that's a fact, because in 1977, alongside Percy Sutton, he received an honorary teacher's degree among Hebrew Israelites. A picture that I showed at the Kemetic War Conference, because people didn't think I was being serious. The slide that we're looking at right now is showing you something very, very significant about the universe. And it's a very, very abstract way of looking at the concept of the beginning of the universe, as well as the first sentence of Genesis. When we look at the very first sentence of Genesis on an esoteric level, you'll notice that the mathematics encoded within it will unravel and give shape to all the mysteries of the universe. Let me say that again. When you look at the first sentence of Genesis and you notice that it is mathematically encoded, you will soon realize that when you unravel that code, it will begin to reveal all of the mysteries of the universe. The Hebrew text is an encoded text. That's why Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 2 says, you shall not add to it, nor shall you take away from it. Because anything that's encoded, all you have to do is take one code out. Any of you out there who do coding for computers, you know if a computer is missing one code, the program is done. Or if you add a code to it, the program is done. So what does the Torah say? If you add to my word or diminish from it, do not do so. Because anytime you add to an encoded work, you diminish from the mystery encoded within that work, or from the brilliance or the light that is conveyed in that work. Such is the same with the Hebrew text. You can't add to it, nor can you diminish from it, because it is a mathematically encoded text. Mathematically, because every single letter has what's called numerical equivalence. And for those that really don't get into that, let's just break down common mathematics for a second. Let's go into, not quantum physics, but let's just go into physics. Physics tells you that anything with shape or form has dimensions. Anything that has dimensions has numbers to it. You can't speak of dimension without speaking of number. Anything that has a shape and a form is dimensional. You cannot speak of that which have dimensions without using numbers. This is the divine language of the universe when you're looking at Torah. Next slide. Okay, so we know for a fact when the Creator, the ineffable one, spoke the universe into existence. Ah, come on, Zion. I was starting to pick you up. You stopped talking about Polight for a little bit. Smalls alone. Now you're talking about this creation through speech stuff again. Now your Bible, you're getting spooky again on me, Zion. Am I? Because I said to you earlier that when you look at the mystery system of all these schools, they are all united. But many in the Kemetic community will say that the Bible is a spooked out book because it speaks of the tool of creation as speech. I have to ask anybody a question. Are you familiar with your own literature? Because your own literature says that Ptah, P-T-A-H, the nature Ptah, spoke the universe into existence. That's in your own text. But y'all turn around and call the Hebrew Bible a spooky book. And y'all make silly excuses like, oh, you go into books like the New Testament, they start talking about heaven and hell. And if you don't do right, you're going to hell. Well, what do your spooky pyramid text say? Don't it say that if you are found guilty of breaking any of the laws, what happens? Who comes and devour you? What's his name? What's his name, my brother Kalam? Mut?
Amut.
Amut. That's a hell concept right there,
And in other texts as well, you actually spend some time in a fiery lake.
Exactly. Exactly. So when people start to critique they say the pot should never call the kettle black. And I think that that's common sense. But even in the mystery school of Kemet and in the mystery school of Sumer, and certainly in the mystery school of the Torah, creation is said to happen ex nihilo. E-X-N-I-L-L-O, ex nihilo. That means something from nothing. In Hebrew, that would be yesh me'ayin. Why is that significant that the universe had to be created something from nothing? The universe before creation, before the advent of creation, totally did not exist. There was one thing that filled all of reality. I was going to say the known reality, but there's nothing known about that reality. Because again, he who created or brought the universe into existence is beyond investigation and beyond your imagination. Science says you only using 5 to 10% of your mind. And a lot of us complain about why we can't understand the nature of the abstract one. You're not even using the most abstract parts of your mind. When you're not even using the abstract portions of your mind, how in the hell do you think you're going to grasp the ultimate abstract nature of the universe? I'll wait. So as the good brother Nayam Ubuntu is saying, mathematics is definitely the key of the universe. And when you get into the sacred language of all of the mystery schools, you begin to see that unravel, because mathematics is steeped and replete within the language of those texts. I've yet to hear the Kemetic community bring out the mathematics of the Medunetta. I'm spending all this time watching all these videos the past 2 years of people talking about they know Medunetta. I didn't see the math yet. Why is it going to take a Hebrew to come and do that? Because I've been studying the Medunetta for the last year and a half. And I've found several mathematic truths encoded within the language itself. But it was easy for me to catch because I'm so immersed in the mathematical encoding of the Hebrew script. Wait till you see the lecture that I do on the mathematics within the Medunetta. That's going to be interesting. Move on to the next slide. Okay. I was going to get into Kabbalistic meditation and go into some of the esoteric gates that are spoken of in some of the literature. But let me do something that I should have done in the beginning that I didn't do. So I critiqued individual who spoke about having a Kabbalah book. And I said that there is no such thing as a Kabbalah book. There's books on the Kabbalah, but there's no Kabbalah book, because Kabbalistic literature, or esoteric literature, which is what the Kabbalistic literature essentially is, esoteric literature is only transmitted orally. You are not allowed to walk into a room where esoteric information is being conveyed with a pen and a pad. You couldn't do it in Kemet, you couldn't do it in Sumer, and you certainly couldn't do it among the Hebrews. Anyone who is on the initiate level, which is the basic level, knows that. And certainly the adepts understand that very, very well.
Yep.
You can't walk into an esoteric school with a pen and a pad, because the assumption is, who are you going to share this with? The assumption is everything that you will learn in here, if you put to pen and pad, you're going outside. But there's a reason why you were chosen to get this information. Kabbalah is not for everybody. This lecture that I'm doing tonight is about unveiling and removing the taboo from it. I'm not about to get into the depth of Kabbalah with y'all ever. Because the first thing you have to be, when you talk about the idea of being a Kabbalist, you have to actually be a person that masters understanding of Torah. And the only way you could master understanding of Torah is if you put that into practice. So all these people talking about, I went to a Kabbalah center, and or I went and I built with this one. I gotta say, what was you learning? Who was teaching you? Oh, I read a bunch of books on Kabbalah. I know Kabbalah. Oh, you self-taught. So by default, you don't know Kabbalah because there's no self-taught initiate. If you are an initiate, someone initiated you. How are you self-taught in a mystery school? There is no self-taught initiate. Not in Sumer, not in Kemet, and certainly not in Hebrew culture. You cannot be a self-taught initiate. You have to be, in order for you to be initiate, you have to be initiated.
Facts.
Let's move on to the next slide. The divine archetype. You know, here's where I want to make Hebrews a little uncomfortable for a second. Because in the Hebrew community, and I'm going to speak very slow now and soft almost. In the Hebrew community, we bash the Kemetic conscious community for speaking about the divine feminine. Oh no, Zion, don't do it, man. Not you, Zion. Come on. Let me talk. Because I know a lot of y'all are already saying that. Let me talk. In the Kemetic conscious community, one thing that is extremely expounded upon or enumerated is the concept of there being a divine feminine. The concept of there being a divine feminine. So let's talk about it. I said on the DNA level, which is the esoteric level, all three major mystery schools are united. The only way that could be true is if we have some foundational elements that we share. One of the major foundational elements in the mystery schools of Sumer and Kemet is a divine feminine. Do we have that in Hebrew culture? Let me be the one to address that. When the Creator designed man, he says he created man in his image. Male and female, he created them. That means the divine archetype, male and female. All right, Brother Zion, I respect your honesty, but every time your book speaks about the creator, it's using all masculine terms. It even describes the creator as him. I've yet to read a she. All right, Zion, you and now see y'all are real brilliant. Y'all are real brilliant because y'all want to see unity, and y'all are damn near say anything to see it. No, we actually know a lot, which is why more people like him and myself need to be on platforms like this. This is my lane right here, and I do it very well, and that's by the grace of the Almighty. Because if male and female in Hebrew thought comprise the image of Elohim, then clearly Elohim has a feminine and masculine polarity to its very essence.
Teach, my brother.
And that's just common sense. And a lot of Hebrews struggle with that. But let me drop something on you real quick. The Creator spoke about placing his name inside a temple, erecting it in Jerusalem. And it is there that we shall bring our offerings and our prayers. The first temple that we had wasn't called a temple. It was called a Mishkan, which is a sanctuary. Mishkan. And it was called a sanctuary because the very presence of God enveloped and enwrapped within it, immersed itself in it. Because the word for Mishkan, which is the Hebrew word for sanctuary, the verb is shakan, which is literally in Hebrew translate as the presence of God.
The Shekinah.
Do you know that that's the actual root word for the Hebraic term Shekinah? When you want to speak about the divine presence of God, you can't say it unless you use the term Shekinah in Hebrew, which is a feminine Hebraic noun. You can't even speak about the divine presence of God in Hebrew without using a feminine term.
Teach.
So these are the things that Hebrews can't be afraid of, because we're not here to tell you that God is a woman, because a woman I'm not here to tell you that God is a man, because man is a creation. Remember, creation is bringing something from nothing. That which I'm bringing into existence never existed before. So the ineffable one is neither man or woman. Remember, he created you in the image of the title he created. You are created in the image of Elohim. We just read in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1, that Elohim was created. Of the divine one. And even in the Kemetic mystery school, the ineffable one is nameless. Mm-hmm. You can't get to him. What's the chief god of Kemet? Is it not Amun? The hidden one? But y'all laugh and talk about Hebrews is spooked out. We can't see your God. What's the name of the chief Necha of Kemet? Amun. What does it mean? Hidden one. I'll wait. Nah, I feel you, Zion, but y'all got that sky daddy. Real? Word? Let me ask you a question. Do you read the pyramid text? Because apparently you don't. Because the Netchers speak of themselves as being the father of the sky. That's the sky daddy. You see, it's a shame that we can't have genuine dialogue, because if we actually put genuine people in a room who are genuine scholars, not people who have, what's the brother's name from the Amon Ra squad, the leader, Ankakek. There's a difference between scholarship and what Ankakek calls hollership, and that's what I see in the conscious community. Very few people on the conscious community are scholars. But I tell you right now, I'm unafraid to tell you who's a scholar, and this is gonna piss off some Israelites, but I got to keep it real. As much as I dislike the brother, Polight is a scholar. As much as I've caught a couple lies coming out of this brother, who I still have respect for, Sojedi, he's a scholar. Asar Imhotep, scholars. And Ngozi, scholar. Khonsu, scholar. Yeah, that's it. I don't know who else to name, and I'm keeping it 100, because everybody else I see, their emotions exceed the information, so that if there's scholarship within, you can't really see it, because what they're showing you from without is overriding it. I have a lot of respect for those individuals. Let's move on to the next slide, because we certainly got to get through it. So people talk about mystery schools and mystery systems, and some of the foolishness I heard from people, I kind of understand. You would critique a person for doing something if you don't understand where they've come from, where their walk has been. So when I did a presentation on Global Media Inc., entitled the Kemetic Mystery System Unraveled or Unveiled, something like that. I forgot. It's been a minute, right? The first backlash I got was, how you gonna not be a part of a mystery system, but you over here talking about you decoding it? How you gonna decode the Kemetic mystery school and you're not in the mystery school? Really? Because you've been with me the last 24 years. In 2017, it'll be 24 years that I've been knowing myself as an Israelite. You've been walking with me. You know that I'm not in a mystery school. Well, the only mystery school in Hebraic law would be a Kabbalistic school. Show me a Hebrew Israelite who understands Kabbalistic literature. Bring them in front of me and have them sit down with me, and then have them walk out talking about they know Kabbalah. Yeah, it's that deep. That's how much I'm immersed in it. When we talk about the Kabbalah being a book, I want to make the distinction right now as I'm walking over to my bookshelf. There's books on Kabbalah. You have the Zohar, written by Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. You have the Hekalot, which are the mystery. I mean, you want to talk about the mystery schools, the mystery gates. When you get into the greater Hekalot and the lesser Hekalot, I mean, these are, Hekal literally means palace in Hebrew. For Hebrews that don't read Hebrew, because we're always reading a 1611 King James Bible, when I said Hekalot just now, you didn't have a clue what I was talking about. You didn't understand that the root word is hekal, that literally means palace. And because you're always reading the Bible in English, you didn't even realize that everywhere you see temple in Hebrew, the Hebrew word is not temple, it's hekal, which means palace. There are times where the temple itself is called not temple in Hebrew, it would literally be called hekal, which means palace. And that term hekal denotes a mystery school or a mystery system. So whenever the temple is spoken of in the Hebrew text and the word used is hekal, it's getting into the mystery system that existed with the temple. Come on, Zion Lex. You a smart brother, but come on. We got a mystery system. Let me ask you a common sense question. How you got priests and you don't have a mystery system? What you think the priests are guarding? So let me get this straight, because the priests are supposed to bring sacrifices and offerings, right? So you think that priests are just great cooks? How you have a priest and you don't have a mystery system? I'll wait. One of the terms for priests in the Torah is malak. That's in the book of Malachi. Remember where it says in the book of Malachi that you shall pursue truth from the lips of a Kohen, which is the Hebrew word for peace, for priest. And it says, because he is a malak of Yod-He Vav-He. What is a malak? That's an angel. Why is he called a malak? What do the angels know?
Mysteries of
what we call malak, Kemet calls necharu. What we call malachim, Kemet calls necharu. On the DNA level, on the esoteric level, or in the mystery schools, I'm gonna tell you right now, we're talking about the same thing. It's the idiots on the outside that don't understand the mystery school that's uninformed. When we get into spiritual alchemy, most of you are familiar with physical alchemy. When we get into spiritual alchemy, you will understand what is called the DNA of creation, how the universe was actually created. We have within the mystery school of the Torah a blueprint and a very well-defined script that shows you how the universe actually came into existence. And I see my brother Kalam already went to that slide. The letters, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are alchemical in nature. Hence why the previous slide to me of Torah. The 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are alchemical in nature. But what are we talking about? Look at the amino acids for those who understand chemistry. How many amino acids are there? Kalam? Kalam, you there? All right, maybe we lost Kalam. There are 22 amino acids. How many letters in the Hebrew alphabet? There's 22. What do we know about amino acids? Amino acids are the basis of all things that exist, because amino acids are the basis of what is known as DNA. Every bit and piece of DNA contains 22 amino acids, which is the basis of DNA. So DNA as a code is 22. The Hebrew language has exactly 22 letters. So let's do something real quick. We know that Kemet had brilliant mathematicians that were responsible for the building of the pyramids. One of the things that is so beautiful about the pyramid is that mathematics encoded within the structure, we can see mathematical principles come to life, like the golden ratio, and we can see pi, right? Pi is 3.14. Well, let's look at something. We say that we marvel about the grand nature of the pyramids and say that nothing has been reproduced in any part of the world that great. In fact, when you study the mathematic nature encoded within its structure, that hasn't been produced nowhere else either. I say, oh yeah? Well, let's look at the very first word and verse of Genesis. There's an untranslatable word in Genesis known as et. There are messianics that say that that's talking about Yeshua or Yahushua, who is the Alpha and the Omega, or the Aleph and the Taf. Aleph and the Taf. Then there's the Kabbalists who really understand what's going on. Whenever you see Aleph and Taf there in scripture like that, it's referencing the entire Hebrew language. Whenever a person speaks about colloquially, whenever a person speaks about proficiency in a language, we say we know it from A to Z. In Hebrew, we would say we know it Aleph Taf. Whenever you see Aleph Taf, it speaks about, it's referencing all the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph through Taf, colloquially. There are several words that have colloquial meaning within the Torah. Divine Prospect is excellent at bringing that up. When you look at the Aleph Taf of Genesis chapter 1, there's colloquial meaning within it. When you see the untranslatable term et, it literally means Aleph through Taf. So check this out. Bereshit bara Elohim et ha-shemayim we-et ha-aretz. What is it talking about? Created the heavens and the earth. Wow. What's so significant about that? Why is Aleph through Tav there mentioned within the creation of the heavens, which is et ha-shemayim? Shemayim is heavens, and the preceding term is et, or Aleph through Tav, the Hebrew letters, all 22. And the earth also has the 22 letters. There's we-et ha-aretz. What is the Torah esoterically saying to you? The Hebrew language is the basis of the universe. Just like we know DNA and the amino acids within are the basis of the universe. But how can we prove it? We just said that the ancient Africans envisioned the universe as a perfect circle. We know that pi measures the circumference of a circle, and pi is equal to 3.14. What does the Torah say? The Torah says that God created the heavens and the earth in 6 days, and he ceased on the seventh day. Esoterically, we know that the Creator used the letters of the Hebrew alphabet, which we see have alchemical properties, to create the universe. So what happens when we take the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the tool of creation, and we divide them by the 7 days of creation? Kalam, what's 22 divided by 7?
I'm about to get a calculator up right about now. But if I'm not mistaken, is it the 3.14?
It's 3.14.
Let's do it right now.
When you take the alphabet of the Hebrew alphabet, and you divide it by the 7 days of creation, it gives you the entire universe. That perfect circle, 3.14, or it gives you pi.
That's correct.
Let's move on to the next slide. All right. Time to get into this right here, because this would have me open up a text known as Sefer Yetzirah, which is a very, very, very mystical Kabbalistic text that I would love to bring out, but I don't think we can bring it out right now. I'm pressing for time. Let's move on to the next slide. The alchemy of the menorah. So most of you know the menorah as a symbol within the temple, and then there's others that related to Hanukkah. Most people who looked at it and just said, "Oh, that's some Hanukkah lights." Israelites who know better first reference it as, "Oh, that's the lights that existed within the temple." Okay. There's something much more deeper going on about the menorah than you may be able to understand. Again, the Torah has alchemical properties. The menorah represents something very, very, very special. When you take the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and you divide them by 7, you get 3.14, correct? The menorah that was in the temple didn't have 8 branches, it had 7. 7 branches. And the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are conceptually inherent or conveyed within all 7 branches, because when they come together, the brilliance of creation can be seen. What do I mean by that? All of the mystery schools define creation as coming out of primordial waters. I'm glad that I came here, because I don't think I touched on it in the beginning. I touched on it, but I didn't get to the main point. We talked about the fact that Kalam agreed, as anybody that's honest in the conscious community knows, schools of Kemet and Sumer said the same thing. There was primordial water before there was anything. Kemet speaks about the waters of Nu. Sumer speaks about the waters of Nunet, which is the same thing. And of course, the Torah speaks about water being there before anything was created. Before the Creator said, Yehi Or, Vayehi Or, light be light. What is so special about that? Well, remember I said, let's look at the word Elohim. And I said, remember, it was a creation because the Creator, or the one who brought the universe into existence, is not Elohim. He created Elohim. He created his own title, just like he created his own name. So when I tell you that the one who brought creation into existence created the title called Elohim, don't look at me as if I'm crazy, because you already know he created his own name, right? So if he can create his own name that he gave you, certainly he created his title. That he's the only one that can do so. I don't think man should create titles, and there becomes a problem. Whenever man tries to emulate divinity without first becoming divine, there's always going to be a problem, if that makes sense. So when you look at the term Elohim, let's break it down. Let's part it. El literally means power. That Him, which is He, Yod, Mem, that's Hayam. That's the Hebrew word for the sea. Elohim can literally be looked at as El Hayam, the power of the seas. Even the term Elohim is denoting that all things pre-existed from a primordial, or manifested from primordial waters. Because the term El Ohim literally translates as El Hayam, the power of the seas. Let's move on to the next slide. A lot of this information is going to miss people, which is why Kabbalah is not for everyone. Next slide.
I have a quick question, my brother. I have a quick
Yes.
question. I've heard it said in certain Kabbalistic texts, but I just wanted to understand this real quickly. The very first words within inside of Genesis itself is Barashith, and
Yes.
you really said that the Beth or the Beh was a preposition meaning with.
Yes.
Others break it down as well to Resh, meaning the head, and then sheath, meaning
right.
Could you give me some insight into that?
Right. So the letter Resh literally means head in Hebrew, because when we want to say head in Hebrew, we say Rosh, and the letter is called Resh. So Resh literally means head. So when we look at Beit Resh as a word, which you can, Beit Resh, what does it form? People who know Aramaic would say, oh, it's talking about Yahushua, because Beit Resh is the Aramaic word for son. Bar, like a bar mitzvah. Bar mitzvah is Aramaic and Hebrew. Mitzvah is how you say commandment in Hebrew, and bar is the Aramaic word for son. Only problem is we speak Hebrew. The Hebrew word for son is bain, not bar. So it's not talking about bar. So you're looking at the wrong root when you look at the Beit and the Resh, and you say, oh, that's talking about son. Oh, that's Yahushua in the first chapter, the first verse. Oh, that's deep. Oh, no. No disrespect, but no. Because the bar that you should look at, the root, is the Hebrew root for bar. And the Hebrew root for bar doesn't mean son, because the Hebrew word for son is bain. The Hebrew word bar literally means pure. Why is the advent of creation described as pure? What did creation emerge from? Primordial what? Waters. Whenever we speak about waters, what is the synonym? Purity.
Cleanliness.
Doesn't water cleanse? So again, this is all pointing towards the advent or manifestation of creation coming forth out of primordial waters. That's why esoterically when you break down the first two letters of the Torah, you can see the term bar, which literally means pure. Because that which comes out of the water is what?
Yeah.
Pure. Was that it on that particular topic?
Yeah, that was it. That was it. Let's get back into it because I know we're a bit short for time.
Absolutely, we're definitely short for time. So I'm going to skip a couple of slides right now. Let's move on to the next one. Move on to the next one. Stop. Go back. All right. So this is what I was talking about. People don't believe it until they see it because most people are simple. So when I say that the Star of David is a symbol of creation, people say, "No, you're bugging." But these same people will tell you that an atom molecule is the essence of creation and the essence of life. All things ultimately exist on the what? Atomic level. And then there's even the subatomic level. And then there's called a quark. Most of y'all are not into quantum mechanics, so some of the language may miss you. But basically, fundamentally speaking, the atomic structure of the universe is codified in the shape that you're looking at right now. Look at the scientific shape for an atom. And look at the image next to it. Kalam, what are we looking at? Is that not a hexagram in both images?
Indeed.
Is not the atom scientifically said to be the basis of creation?
Yep.
So when I, as a Hebrew, say that the Star of David is a symbol of creation, why do people act crazy? When science is saying the same thing. Let's move on to the next slide. You see, here is where we were going to get extremely deep, but again, we're pressing for time. Move on to the next slide. Okay, I'll touch on this a little bit. The four elements of creation, just looking at the Star of David. The Star of David is a symbol of creation. And most people say, hey, brother, I have a question for you, Zion. When we look at Genesis, we don't see the creation of air, fire, water, and earth. We don't see it. Like, where's that at? That ain't there. Is it implied? No, it's not implied when you're looking at the English. Nor is it implied when you're looking at the Hebrew. But when you look at it esoterically in the Hebrew, it's more than implied. It's staring you straight in the face. Esoterically, we look at the entire chapter of Genesis mathematically as forming the very shape of the hexagram. That may sound crazy to y'all because you don't understand the mathematics of Genesis chapter 1 in Hebrew. When you take all of the letters of Genesis chapter 1 in Hebrew and you give them shape and form mathematically, because remember, anything that has a number has a dimension. Numbers give you form and shape. When we take all of the letters of Genesis chapter 1 and we put it in form, the Star of David forms. So Genesis chapter 1, when you're looking at it, is actually a hexagram. Look at the upwards symbol of the hexagram. Most people who study mystery schools a little bit already know this. The upward system is fire. Common sense, because what does a fire look to do? It always does what? It ascends. The downward is water. Anybody ever seen water flow up?
No,
if you see water flow up, you better get the hell out of Dodge. Because something ain't right. Water naturally flows down and fire flows up. So that upward triangle or the upward shape of the Star of David indicates fire. The downward indicates water. That first cross on the apex of the hexagram is air, because what exists between heaven and earth? There is a firmament, or what we call the sky. If you know anything about condensation, you know that water renews itself based on the condensation or the air in the middle of the sky. And then when you look at the bottom triangle and the flat shape therein, that would be the earth. So when you look at the Star of David, you could actually see the four elements when you look at it esoterically. Move to the next slide. The tetragrammaton. Next slide. that is going to take a long time. I didn't realize we were going to have so much time to go into this. There is where we want to go. The seal of creation. Let's stop there. I actually have this image in the cover flyer for Kabbalah Unveiled, if you look on the left corner. How the tetragrammaton was used to literally seal creation. What are we talking about? The universe is what? They say what? 3-dimensional, right? But those 3 dimensions still imply 6 directions. What do you mean 6 directions from 3-dimensional? Well, that's actually common sense in science. So let's break it down. Anything that has 3 dimensions has 6 directions. Let's prove it. There's north, there's south, there's east, and there's west, right? Anyone who knows north knows that north is not always what? Up. So directionally speaking, you still need up. So when we speak of north, north as a direction, as a vantage point, may not always or necessarily convey that which is what science calls true north. True north is scientifically called up, and true south is scientifically called down. There's a difference, scientifically speaking, between north and up and south and down. Hence, science uses the euphemism true north to reference up, and true south references down. So there's actually 6 directions and not 4, because most people, when they speak directionally, they think in terms of a compass, which is north, south, east, west, but they forget that true north is actually up and true south is actually down. So that's 6. The esoteric side of the Torah talks about the name of the creator sealing the creation. And we know that creation is what? 6 directions. Just like we know that the perfect circle can get an hexagram with 6 points. So creation or existence also has 6 directions. When we get into the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, verse 4, in the English it says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, for he is the rock of eternity." The word for rock is Zor, and the word for eternity is Olam. Most of y'all accept that translation because you don't understand Hebrew. If you understand Hebrew, you know that the very word rock in Hebrew is also the word for form. And you know that the word for eternity in Hebrew is the word for universe. So instead of reading that verse as trust in the Lord, for he is the rock of eternity, it literally means trust in the Lord, for he formed universes. But what's so special about that? There's 2 words that are used before it gets to Zor Olamim in Isaiah chapter 26, verse 4. Those 2 words are Yah, Yahweh, or Yod-He, Yod-He Vav-He, or 6 letters. What's so significant about that? What is so significant about the idea that you see the divine attribute Yah and Yahweh, or Yod-He, Yod-He Vav-He, used in conjunction with the creation of the universe? Why is that so significant? What is the numerical equivalence of the divine name of the creator? Yod-He Vav-He, the tetragrammaton. Kalam, I believe you know that it's 26, correct?
Correct.
All right. I know you're getting tired, my brother. It's 26. I'm gonna wrap it up really quick. It's 26. Anyone who gets again into quantum physics, an area that I'm heavily immersed in, there's something called string theory, which is also known as the theory of everything, or the theory of how the universe came into existence. In superstring theory, the universe is spoken of dimensionally, and it's said to be 26 dimensions. In string theory, the theory of everything, there's something called superstring theory. Superstring theory speaks of the universe as being 26 dimensional. What's so significant about that? Kabbalistically speaking, we say that when the creator formed the universe, he did so using his divine attributes, his divine name. Isaiah chapter 26, verse 4 says, "Trust in Yahweh, for he formed universes." Because the word for Sur Olamim, which is translated in your English Bible as rock of eternities, can also be translated in Hebrew as he formed universes. Go all the way to the last slide, Kalam. The very, very bottom slide. The bottom slide. Oh, there we go. One up. There you go. Stop right there. We definitely done ran out of a lot of time. I'm going to come back and do a part 2 for this presentation column and finish it, because you cannot rush these concepts because they're very, very in depth. I gave a little bit out tonight with the intent to come back and give a lot more. But I wanted to leave you with this caption and make you realize why I'm a problem to a lot of communities. I'm a problem to a lot of communities. Number one is because I'm very immersed in the information that I practice. And the problem with that is that the outside communities usually attack the Hebrew community. You're going to have a problem when you attack the Hebrew community when they have people like myself, Nasi Yashuvel, and others, because you're going to seriously get that work. And with that being said, Shalom Aleichem, and thank you very much for allowing me some time to give some information.
Shalom, shalom. But hold on. I'm just looking at that body outline right there. Is that Shaka, most Amon Ross squad, Professor Smalls, Brother Polight, the whole HOK? You've been going through a lot of brothers.
That's right.
And be leaving a trail of bodies everywhere you go. Damn.
That's right.
Damn. You know what? And listen, it's late right now. Hopefully we're gonna have some off-air conversations going on. We didn't get a chance to actually get any phone calls in from the community or messages in from the community. But you know what? Let me just read out one message we do have here real quickly, because I don't want to leave without having that final element. And it says here, Titans TV, ask Zion Lexx his understanding or proof of God. So if you can get that question down for one of our audience members, please.
We definitely can do that. That was actually supposed to be the lecture with myself and Polight, if everyone remembers. We finally agreed on whether or not I can prove the existence of God, or Polight can prove the non-existence of God. And then Polight backed out of the debate. I said, why you backed out? Well, I'm not debating you. You crazy. Why am I crazy? Because you want me to prove that God doesn't exist. Well, yes, Polight, because the absence of evidence is not the evidence, right or wrong.
Yeah.
So if your premise, Polight, is that God doesn't exist, you have to actually bring proof that God doesn't exist as well. So while the onus is on me to prove that God does exist, you still got to come in the building with your proof for why God doesn't exist. Polight, when he heard that, he looked at Sarnetta. Sarnetta is my, I can't even say Sarnetta is my witness the way he be moving. God is my witness. He looked at Sarnetta and was like, I'm not debating him. And that's crazy, because that shows me that Polight is used to these rinky-dinky debates. Because when you go in an academic circle, places like Harvard, Yale, Oxford University, which I'm sure none of the individuals even watched, when you come into an arena and you have a presupposition that you want to prove, and a person is on the negative and disproving it, they have to come with evidence disproving it, or else their claim is invalid. We don't have a debate on whether or not God exists unless we have one side proving the existence of God and the other side proving the non-existence of God. When Polight finally realized that, that's when he backed out of the debate. And with that, I say shalom.
Shalom. And listen, everybody who's been tuning in so far and enjoying the information, we have 100 people that's tuning in right now. Please give us hit the like button, hit the big thumbs up button. Let us know that you've been enjoying the information, you're enjoying the shows that Titans TV offers, you've been enjoying the debates that Titans TV offers. Of course, on Wednesday we've also got Brother Minister Inky, who will be coming into the studios and definitely be giving a very, very thought-provoking presentation as well. So please stay tuned for that this Wednesday. I believe it's going to be at another 6 p.m. EST, roughly at that time. We're definitely going to go in. Right now, what's time over here? It's 3 o'clock in the morning, 3 a.m. GMT UK time. So my energy is still here. I did take a little nap, but I'm fading at the same time. But anyways, if you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, check out all of the shows that we do. Check out all the past shows that we've done. We've had great names on the show, such as our brother Polight, such as our brother Reggie, such as our Renoka Rashid, such as the Armin Ra Squad, such as Tazaria, ISUPK, brother Gorilla Hebrew, Israel Doctrine. We've had some great names, Shaka Ahmos. We've had so many great names on the channel. So if you haven't already checked out the channel, please, 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 subscribe, go into the video sections of Talk with Titan. Check out all of the great presentations on there as well. And of course, we need to have our brother Zion Lexx back in the studio as well. Finishing off this particular presentation and hopefully dropping a new presentation for us as well. So we need to sort that out, ASAP. I definitely want to get that sorted out for December. So if you've got some time, please, we want you back.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. In fact, it's a lecture I have on the correlation between Torah and science, where I actually look at Genesis chapter 1 meticulously, and I compare and contrast it with what quantum physics says about the origin of the universe. And I go literally from verse 1 to verse 31 and show you how everything the Torah says in Genesis chapter 1 about the creation of the universe perfectly aligns with what quantum physics is saying right now in modern science.
Indeed. And I've been seeing quite a lot of parallels as well with, from the quantum physics level to the Torah level and even to the Kemetic text as well, are literally saying the same thing. So deep down in the esoteric level, the mystic level, the initiate level, these two great mystery schools are really one and the same in various different concepts. So, it's going to be very interesting to see what other teachers have got to say from the Hebrew Israelite school and also from the Kemetic school on this particular presentation. I know so far we've had two great thought-provoking presentations that's actually rumbled certain foundations. We had Nasi Yashavel last week giving an excellent presentation on the Cushitic lineage from the maternal side of the Hebrew ancestry. So you know what? I can't wait. I can't wait for all of the presentations we're going to have up and running again on Titans TV. It's been absolutely wonderful to have these great dialogues, these great conversations, and hopefully we can continue this conversation as well down below in the comment section. Facebook, we're going to share this on Facebook, and let's get this conversation flowing, because you know what? My brother here has done something that nobody else so far within inside of the conscious community has done as of yet. And we're going into Kabbalahism, not just from somebody who reads about Kabbalahism, but somebody who is actually an initiate in the Kabbalistic school, somebody who actually reads, speaks, and is intellectualized within inside of the Hebrew tongue itself, and has that relationship, has that sisla, has that lineage that can date back to all of these great teachers within inside of the community. So in that being said, I'm just looking at the likes buttons down below. I see you lot going in, hitting the like buttons. Finally, show my brother some love. Show him that you really enjoyed this presentation, because there's too much hate within inside of the community, full stop. Like people are more apt to even give a dislike rather than give a like. And I'm loving the fact that there is more likes at present. So please, 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 hit the like button again, man. If you could hit it 3 times, hit it 3 times. Let our brother know that you enjoyed the information. But anyways, I'm signing out right now. And you know what? Let me know as well in the comment section who you would like to see on the channel next. I see a couple people talking about they would like to see Brother Shaka Ahmos. We'll see. And let me just read out a few comments here. Wonderful job, Lexx. Praise the Most High. And that's from our brother D. Spearman. So I just want to let you know that you're getting some love here. Shalom, shalom. Thanks, Kalam. Moray is Avidel is a lion in his house. We thank Hashem for bestowing my Moray, my teacher, with the knowledge and wisdom to break down Torah and Tanakh to his people. Iron, steel, and the mind of a lion, a scholar in his own right, Avidel Ben Levi, Zion Lexx, Tada Rabbah. So, you know, you're getting some crazy love, my brother. You know, there's a few other people that's just been shouting you out and giving you some crazy love as well. I can't even read out all of it. I see you, Marion. I see you giving out that love. She says, Shalom, we're loving you. Zion Lexx is killing them, creating bodies. Another person is saying here that Zion is the Egyptian hunter or the Egyptian killer. You know what? So praise be to Yah, and that's from Manel Ali Tol. So I'm showing you that there's enough love for you within inside of the community. And please don't let the naysayers get you down. Keep your head up, because you're one of the most powerfulest teachers within inside of the community. And if not, dare I say it, I think so. I think you are the most well-rounded and informed teachers within inside of the community in terms of the Hebrew studies. You, my brother, Nasi Chevelle, and Divine Prospects has to be my top 3 Hebrew teachers. But anyways, I'm over talking. I'm going to sign out right now. Let's give thanks and praise for this great lecture by my brother Zion Lexx. Shalom.